Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear League Project. How the heck are you? I'm here with
Zorg.
great news, as you can see next to me. This is why I love League Project. Because of articles like these ones. Because of documents like these ones. Declassified. These were actually top secret for many years until the Freedom of Information Act got these things into the public's hands. And I'd like to thank Dale Good, the information director, and Jim Klotz, SYSOP, Chris Lambright, the webmaster, everybody that was involved in getting this information released to the public. And wow, I have never heard of SUFON before, but that's the Computer UFO Network. But here's what's exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the fun stuff, shall we? Let's go to page 8. But first of all, let's take a look at these books that were literally classified, considered top secret for many years, underneath the vaults of the National Security Agency, because they love us so much, obviously. And I think it's exciting that Trump is starting a space division, and you can read about it at Washington Examiner. Despite mirth, memes, and mockery, Trump's Space Force is no farce. Good for you, President Trump. I think that's awesome. This is the actual PDF. You can pick one up, a hard copy, for about $500. This is one of the books that has a segment taken out and put into the NSA vault, and then now it's available to you. But we're going to look over several pages of this very good essay giving you the information. Let me share this with you right now. Design of a Language for Cosmic Intercourses. Hello. That's by, and that's in the book review Linkos, NSA Technical Journal, winter of 1952. Then Communications with Extraterrestrial Intelligence by Lambros D. Kalamajos. The font's very small there. And I probably should get glasses, but I'm not going to. I will not assimilate. This was winter 1966, the NSA Technical Journal. And then Key to Extraterrestrial Messages by Howard Campaign. This is the NSA Technical Journal. And that's my favorite, because there are discussions of how 29 different languages or 29 different signals were picked up, and they break down the signals. Let me repeat that. 29 different cosmic language encounters. And this is 50 years ago. And that's on page 20. I'm actually going to go to that first. I just want to show you that first. So, page 20. Boom. Will you just look at it? Key to Extraterrestrial Messages. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. Not that much. Dr. Campaign presented a series of 29 messages from outer space in Extraterrestrial Intelligence, NSA Technical Journal, Volume 11, Number 2, page 101, and in the Special Mathematics and Engineering issue of the journal, page 117, the following article develops a key to these messages. Paragraph numbers parallel the serial numbers of the messages reprinted in the appendix below. This includes 2 new series, 30 and 31 not included in the previous article. So this math genius goes on to break down these codes that were sent, this data that was sent, and I hope you stayed with me this long, because this is extremely interesting. And I'm not going to attempt to break down all the numbers and letters and codes and equations, because you can read all about that yourself. What I am going to do is share with you what I understand thus far as this being absolutely incredible, and this takes the Fermi paradox and it flips it upside down. Because if we have communications with ETs, which I feel that we do, the Fermi paradox section there that says, why haven't we heard from anybody? Well, we have, and every time we hear something, and every time the public gets some information, guess what's happened?
Oh, well, man, it was a cell phone microwave tower, dude. That was that new 4G, 5G stuff. That's what it was. It wasn't extraterrestrial contact. There's no such thing. We're narcissistic human beings. We're the only thing that exists in the galaxy. Everybody else destroys themselves. I mean, come on now. Come on now, guys and gals and ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be skeptical, but your brain doesn't work unless it's open. It's like a parachute. If your brain's completely closed off, guess what? It's not going to work. I'm just saying. Now let's go to page 8.
And I also want to give a huge shout out. This is what's awesome. Have you guys, I'm going to give a quick sponsor shout out here. Trade Genius Academy. You've got to check these guys out. They're awesome. So I get trade calls every time with the charts and graphs and data and groups of people that they have set up that literally eat, drink, sleep, and work out trading. Well, I get these trade calls in my email that says buy or sell. So Ripple, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin, the different coins that are out there, they've got a list that sends me sell alerts and buy alerts. Well, Litecoin just popped almost 10% the other day. I got a buy signal right before that. So look into it. Trade Genius Academy, they're offering specials for Leak Project listeners. Get in while you fit in. Make success and be successful no matter what direction the market is going. Trade Genius Academy, let them know Leak Project sent you. Okay, now, communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. We are not alone in the universe. And my name's Captain Obvious. A few years ago, this notion seemed far-fetched. Today, the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence is taken for granted by most scientists. Sir Bernard Lavelle, one of the world's leading radio astronomers, has calculated that even allowing for a margin of error of 5,000%, there must be in our galaxy about 100 million stars which have planets of the right chemistry, dimensions, and temperatures to support organic evolution. If we consider that our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is but of at least 1 billion other galaxies similar to ours in the observable universe, the number of stars that could support some form of life is to reach a word astronomical. Will you just look at it? Hello.
We come in peace.
Awesome. Awesome. I repeat, this is awesome. So there must be in our own galaxy about 100 billion stars which have planets of the right chemistry, dimensions, and temperatures to support organic evolution. If we consider that our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is but one of at least 1 billion other galaxies similar to ours in the observable universe, the number of stars that could appear is astronomical. As to advanced by miserable Earth standards forms of life, Dr. Frank D. Drake of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory at Green Bank, West Virginia, has stated that putting all our knowledge together, the number of civilizations which have arisen by now is about 1 billion. It's about 1 billion. So let me repeat that. The number of civilizations which could have arisen by now is about 1 billion, with a margin of error of about 5,000% or less, give or take a few percent. The civil and next question is, where is everybody? Well, the nearest neighbor to our solar system is Alpha Centauri, only 4.3 light years away. But according to Dr. Su Shu Huang of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, its planetary system is probably too young for the emergence of life. Two other heavenly friends, Epsilon Eridani and Tau Ceti, about 11 light years away, are stronger contenders for harboring life. Nevertheless, if superior civilizations are abundant, the nearest would probably be at least 100 light years away. Therefore, it would take 200 years for a reply to be forthcoming, a small matter of 7 generations. This should, however, make little difference to us in view of the enormous potential gain from our contact with a superior civilization. Now, with that said, I'm going to go to let's go to page 11 now. I'll share this with you. So what do you think about that? It's all just an illusion. Everything's a dome.
And they're just these holograms. That's what everything is, man. You can't go into space. There's a big dome blocking it, dude. Didn't you see that one rocket that hit the dome?
Some people. It's like that one person that shouts,
"The dome's over the earth. The Bible says so."
Well, the Bible also says to stone your kids if they act up. I'm just saying. So are you sure you want to use that analogy? I don't. Anyway, unclassified. This right here is showing an interpretation of what we could send out in space as a signal, showing that there's intelligent life somewhere else. Now this is page 11. Let's go to page 17 now. Extraterrestrial intelligence. In the most recent issue of the NSA Technical Journal, Volume 11, Number 1, Mr. Lambros D. Kalnohos discusses certain aspects of extraterrestrial intelligence and includes several messages to test the reader's ingenuity. In the following pages, Dr. H.H. Campaign offers additional communications from outer space. Recently, a series of radio messages was heard coming from outer space. The transmission was not continuous, but was cut by pauses into pieces which could be taken as units, for they were repeated over and over again. The pauses show here as punctuation. The various combinations have been represented by letters of the alphabet so that the messages can be written down. Each message except the first is given here only once. The serial number of the messages have been supplied for each reference. Will you just look at it? Does that make sense? You get that, right? So now we're going to go to page 28. The last page that I'd like to share with you until further notice. Recently, a series of radio messages was heard coming from outer space. The transmission was not continuous, but cut by pauses into pieces, which could be taken as units, for they were repeated over and over again. The pauses show here as punctuation. The various combinations have been represented by letters of the alphabet so that the messages can be written down. Each message except the first is given here only once. The serial number of the message has been supplied for each release. HH campaign. Or is it champagne? Now, would you like some champagne with your campaign? Or would you like a campaign with champagne? It's really up to you. But if you'll read about the story from HH campaign, or is it champagne, you can clearly see here the data presented as possible extraterrestrial communication. Now, 29 reports. 29 reports and 29 reports of signals from outer space. Of course, it's just what? Oh, yeah. Highly concentrated swamp gas from Uranus. And I want to give credit again to where credit is due. Thank you very much, Sufon, for bringing this information to the table, getting this information released to the public. Thank you, NSA, for releasing this information, Freedom of Information Act. It was very kind of you. Wouldn't it be neat if everybody knew about extraterrestrials? I mean, why not? Why can't we all just know about it? I mean, are there some people that just can't handle the truth? Is that it?
Can some people just not handle the truth?
I don't know. But you got to get yourself... Hold on.
Will you just look at it? Will you just look at it? I need a 5G shield and hat like this leak project one to protect my brain. Oh yeah. Silly humans. Silly humans.
Woo, shapeshifter. That's what I'm talking about. All right, everybody, what do you think about this information? Is this incredible? Or is this amazing? Or is this incredibly amazing? Oh, yeah. I think it's incredibly amazing. And let's take a look at how old this information is. 40, 50 years old, released 12 years ago. This information was released 12 years ago. And how many of you have actually read these documents? How many of you, following the extraterrestrial paranormal adventures, actually even knew these existed? Because I've been following UFOs and ETs for pretty much my whole life, and I think they've been following me too. Well, I didn't know about these until just recently. So this is great data. Now, then you get into the Fermi paradox. All right, I'm going to put my hat on here. You like my hair? Like that? I've got a little bit of it left. Makes it look like I have more if I do the comb down, right? Just... It's a 5-head, man. Helps me think. All right? Did that on purpose. Anyway, when I developed my DNA, I said, you know what? I just need a little extra forehead so I can think. But anyway, the Fermi paradox. How awesome is the Fermi paradox? Well, let's put into account the Fermi paradox takes a lot of what I just told you and asks some very valuable questions. Like, if there is extraterrestrial life and so much of it, why don't we see it on a daily basis? Well, it could be because the government or the men in black's hiding it. They don't want us to know about extraterrestrial life. It could be because they're so advanced that we couldn't even see them if they were right in front of us. It could be because they're so far away they haven't been able to find us yet. It could be because an extraterrestrial civilization may not want us to have their location, so they're not going to be sending signals out into space. It'd be like on a deserted island somewhere with a bunch of dinosaurs, like Jurassic Park style around you, and you're just like, hey, I'm over here, everybody. Hey, T-Rex Raptors, I'm over here. I mean, is it like that? There's a lot of questions and a lot of possibilities. It's just, to me, every time a little glimpse or a little blip or something outside of the matrix comes in, says you're not alone, then there's going to be another spin on that. Like, oh man, it's just cell phone tower microwave. Somebody was heating up some popcorn. Some GMO popcorn caused it to do that. Yeah, all those weird codes and stuff that you could break down to numbers and letters and actual equations. That's just from somebody out there that was melting some plastic in the microwave. So BPH came out and it connected with aspartame and acesulfame, and then the flu shot started falling down, and they said all this formaldehyde in them, and that was the cause of it. So let's talk a little bit about the Space Force for a minute. You've got the Space Force full on being implemented via Trump. And Trump and Reagan, the similarities are insane. I mean, even the same slogans. Now let's go to when Reagan said, if we, as a world, were to be threatened by an off-world threat, we would probably come together. Is basically what he says. I mean, you can go watch the repeat of it. And then you've got those out there that say, oh, guess what? This is being designed and developed to implement the New World Order so that they're going to create this fake space war and then everybody's going to unite. Well, what if it was a real space war? And yeah, what if it was to develop a New World Order? What if, and I've thought about this many times before, if there is a galactic council similar to the United Nations, but they're the United Planets, a galactic council, would their world have to be in order before they were allowed to even get into the council? Which means, would it have to be kumbaya on that planet in order for them to be a part of it? Or would they have to be in their own rogue faction? Because I see the UN as a microcosm of a macrocosm. The UN as a way to bring everything in underneath one umbrella, underneath one flag. Everybody's the same. There is no difference. Everybody must think exactly the same. And first of all, I think that the UN, if you really look at the organization as a whole, there's probably a lot of good that they offer to the world. And then there's also a lot of very controversial, debatable things that they do to the world. Just like almost every other organization or government out there. There's going to be good and bad. There's going to be good apples and bad apples. And then you'll have people that'll go out and say, oh, well, those two bad apples make the entire batch bad. And that's how the MFers continue to live in their luxury in the shadows, the money funders, while the people continue to fight amongst themselves. Because they're the ones pulling the strings. They're the ones funding these organizations at the top levels. They're the money funders. So they know how to get away with things. They know how to control the media. They know how to manipulate the masses. They know how to get people to fight against themselves. In all reality, okay, it's very good, in my opinion, to be different, to be unique, to be free. And then I know people that literally think that it's bad to be free. If you're a part of a nation, you need to be a part of that unity, a part of that whatever. You freedom's bad, man. You don't have that. That's a Western thing. Somebody told me that was a Western thing once, to believe in freedom. And hey, I appreciate your beliefs, but I certainly don't agree with them at all. You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to tell me how to think. And if you do, I'm probably going to do the opposite. Just because that's how I roll. When people try to tell me what to do, when they try to force me to do something, probably like you have that inert response to push back. Some people more than others. Some people are just going to follow along. They're going to play whatever rules are presented to them, even if they don't think they're right. They're, well, that's what my boss told me to do, so it's just a job. I'm so tired of hearing people say, it's just a job. It's just a job, man. I got to do it. It's just a job. I got to do what my boss tells me to do. I mean, let's take the Bible as an example again. If you're one of those people that says everything in the Bible is true, well, the Bible also says, do everything that your government tells you to do, that the law tells you to do. So and trust me, it's good to follow the law. I'm not saying break the law at any means. Far from it. It's good to follow the law. It's good to follow the government. Yet, could a faction come out and use that, take over the government, be a totalitarian system, completely wicked, completely corrupt, and then they could use that part of the Bible in religion and say, well, hey, you got to follow rules. It says it right there in the Bible. You don't think there's people out there that are smart enough to manipulate that and use it for their advantage? You don't think that was done at the very beginning? You don't think that that's been going on since near the beginning? Somebody that has a higher level of intelligence that maybe doesn't have the same morals as you, and they're going to do anything in their power to get power? Well, who's in power, ladies and gentlemen? Do you even know the true people that are in power? I mean, I'm sure you've heard some big names. I'm sure you know about some of the names of certain money funders. But then what about those you don't even hear about? What about those that are so far in the shadows, that have so much money and so much control, you're not even going to know who they are? They could be right in front of you, hiding in plain sight. Now, if we have technologies, which we do, have nanotechnologies that can literally write the cellular level, that can rewrite DNA, do you not think that there could be races and civilizations out there that are millions of years, billions of years ahead of us, that could literally change the way that they look, that could manipulate their physical being, that could be in one location, have an avatar of themselves on a completely different planet, and via Wi-Fi communicate as if they're in that avatar? Like we have drones right now, but at another level. We've got CERN creating supposedly micro black holes. You don't think that there's civilizations out there that can create large black holes? I mean, you can get into these ancient Vedas and these ancient texts, even the old Sumerian tablets, some of the Egyptian mythos, the Romans, the Greeks, the really old stuff. And the really old stuff, I'm referring to the Vedas, talking about these cosmic weapons that could not only destroy planets, but could destroy timelines, and it could destroy space, the heavens, outer space. And look at all the remains of what looks like civilizations, previous civilizations, on Mars, on the moon. Iapetus, Mimas, Phobos. I mean, they even think they found stuff on Pluto. But it all looks like it's been ghosted. It all looks like it's, been just shut down and decaying and abandoned for hundreds, thousands of years or longer. And how much of history do we repeat through stories and movies? Maybe oftentimes not even realizing what we're writing was something that happened in the past. This Space Force that's being developed, is it to protect us from extraterrestrials? Is it to protect us from asteroids, comets, all of the above? And how much would we be able to defend ourselves if a civilization that was a million years ahead of us? Here's where it gets interesting. If you get into Ray Kurzweil, The Singularity, excellent book. The guy is brilliant, genius. I've had so many parallels of his book and his mindset before I even read his book. And within 200 years, our own civilization could be so far advanced and so far beyond what it is now that if we looked at things previously of the timelines, we could look at that as millions of years of evolution, if not more. So that 200 years will be like the 2 billion years previous, actually even far superior to that, way beyond that. So my point is, the further we go in timelines and these other civilizations, if civilization has been around 1 million years longer than us, and imagine if they had people controlling that civilization that everybody was working on win-win. You help me, I help you, we help each other, we help the world, we help our future generations. We become greater because of it. Imagine a civilization 1 million years ahead, like a physical 1 million years, with rulers and controllers that actually cared about technologies and balance and harmony. How far ahead of us would they be? Even as, let's say, a civilization that's 1,000 years behind us, but grew up in an environment that didn't have, cataclysms and resets every X amount of thousands of years. Excuse me. Where would they be at? Could they be superior to us? I mean, we look at some of these ancient technologies that we probably had, our ancestors had. And if there's a civilization out there, a planet out there that doesn't have a difficult time continuing to grow and not having to, deal with as much of these natural cataclysms and wars and destruction and asteroids and other things, I mean, how far evolved could they be? So really, I think we're in a very unique position. Because if we have made contact with ETs, if they have made contact with us, maybe we are acting as not only a science ant farm for them, we're creating science, we're creating technologies for them. But then what happens if another civilization decides to go after our watchers and us? I don't know if you've seen the series Colony yet. It's excellent series. One of my favorites right now out there. It's about this extraterrestrial race that literally colonizes Earth, and they're hardcore. I mean, they've got drone technologies. If you don't follow the rules, you're done. And they purged much of the population. They wanted to get rid of anybody that they thought would be a threat to them. Well, they're using humans as the slave colony to build weapons for them because they have to go to battle with another extraterrestrial race that's even superior to them and, of course, the humans. So this is just like a big ocean, and the Earth is like a piece of fish food for a piranha, and then you've got sharks behind the piranha, then you've got killer sharks behind the sharks, and then you've got poachers behind the killer whales and the sharks, etc. It's just this cycle. It's like round and round and round we go. So where are we at in the cyclical timeline? What are we going to see over the next 10 years, 20 years, 100 years? Are we going to see space wars? Are we going to see colonization? Are we going to see quantum computer androids? Are we going to see people walking around as DNA servers, literally storage servers, their DNA? Where are we going? My theory is over the next 10 to 20 years, and I've had this theory ever since I started playing video games, that in the next 10 to 20 years, we could see more people, maybe closer to 20 years, literally just like the film Surrogates that Bruce Willis was in, could be controlling avatars in their bodies while their bodies are storing data for corporations that pay them so they can live in their VR box while they're being used as storage centers, and they're using robots to do the work for them while they live in their little dilapidated state. Welcome to the New World Order. So on that note, I want to say have a fantastic day. Be excellent to each other. And I'm going to go eat some cookies. Be the change you want to see. Oh, yeah, one more thing, too. I respect all religions. I respect most people's beliefs. And when I bring up these terms out of the Bible, I'm just doing that as a way to make certain people realize that if you're going to put all your faith into a book of texts and scriptures that have been written in different languages throughout different timelines, and if you're going to attack people for their beliefs in certain science that has presented themselves because of what you believe of a book, and science is another form of religion too, folks, don't get me wrong. I'm using that to help people realize how silly they sound sometimes based upon an interpretation of a set of words that was retranslated by a group of individuals that needed to fit that data in certain pretexts to conform with the canon that they needed to create as a form of control, not only physically, mentally, spiritually, but also financially. There are many great things in the Bible. And depending on how you look at the Bible, I've read the Bible from front to back. I've read many books in the Bible multiple times, like Revelation. I've read Revelation probably 24 times. I've broken it down. I've taken the data, I've taken the numbers, I've taken the equations, I've taken the colors, if I just said that, I apologize. I've taken the stones that they talk about, the jasper and all, amethyst and stuff, and I've done different interpretations on all of that because I want to understand that. And so, genuinely, to help you, if you're somebody that's just locked into that, and you have one belief and that's it, it might help your own beliefs and your own spiritual growth if you look at options outside of that network to either match up with it and say, yep, that's it, or you look at something and say, wait a second, that doesn't match with this data. Why? And then you can start questioning things and then come up with your own inner self-realization. And I feel that will help many people. I used to be that guy. I used to be that guy that, as far as the Bible goes and Jesus and religion, that if I talk to myself now about my own beliefs 20 years ago, I might think I was the Antichrist, if that makes sense. So on that note, now I realize how stuck I was and how, in my opinion, religion is one of the biggest forms of mind control and conspiracies in the world, on the planet. So divide and conquer, or unite and help and create. Unite and create, or divide and conquer. I think uniting and creating is a much better opportunity. And speaking of population, I'm going to have Greg Allison on the show again very soon, rocket scientist for NASA, literally. He feels that the population could actually be far greater than it is now. And as much as I can't stand sheep, I still feel a need to protect them and warn them. It's bizarre, but it's true. Imagine space colonization and being able to travel the stars, but in a ship that is fully self-contained and is like a miniature planet, where you have an environment, an atmosphere, trees, beauty, animals, insects, the whole ecosystem, just in a miniaturized version, and you're able to travel the stars in this miniaturized ecosystem planet and colonize other planets. I think that would be fascinating. I think that would be incredible. And he feels that the population could be far greater. And if we have an opportunity to travel the stars in these capsules that are like miniature planets, first of all, how fun would that be to you? Would you find that exciting? Would you do it? And then that could offset the population problems that we have here at home. You could have more people, and you wouldn't have to have this system that was designed to keep people suppressed, to keep people only living a certain amount of years, to keep people outside of the truth, to keep people in the dark. So they just, recycle the souls every X amount of years. They come back. Well, if we could travel the stars and colonize other planets and create and help, then wouldn't we be expected to have the most healthy lifestyles, live the longest, be as capable as possible, and probably use certain reverse aging technologies to where we could live as long as we wanted to? Be excellent to each other. Be the change you want to see. Go to leakproject.com today. Get one of these cool hats if you want to. They do have shielding for 5G up to 30 gigahertz. They're pretty cool. They're handmade, and there's a few left. Be the change you want to see. Nanny, nanny.